all I can to make my mama proud. I was raised by a gang, so I did my mama foul. Stacking up my bread, paying for these sounds, put my life on the beat. Man, this shit is working now. A burner on my waist, a thing fully loaded. Scraping through my city, blazing shit up in the open. I started from the bottom, I got it all in motion.
Man, I hope everybody's having a productive day, feeling blessed, and like I always say, it's one life, one chance. We only got one chance to do this right. Let's get it done. With that being said, man, thank you guys for once again engaging in all my videos, and sharing your comments, sharing your stories, asking me more questions. I'm gonna get back to answering questions before I start dropping more prison videos, because that's, like I said, I think it's important that I engage with my audience and answer you guys' questions. I think prioritizing what you guys want to hear and what you guys are willing to listen to, as opposed to me, like I said, talking about myself, I think is very important. So I'm gonna get back to the questions for the rest of the week and on the weekend, and then I'll come through with some more videos. But this particular question, it wasn't even a question, it was a comment. Like I said, I read everything. And I can understand where this individual is coming from. And I feel like this is one of the questions, or the should I say, the comments that I feel like I can touch on a little bit more to help him out. Even though I don't know if this particular comment came from doubt or questioning me or whatever the case may be, I still think it's important to even attend to individuals who might be biased or might not see my side of things. So with that being said, hit the subscription button, hit the like, always leave a comment, let me know what you guys think. The individual said that he's never seen or heard of a case where an individual bought his way back into the Norteño struggle, being active. So to this particular individual, yeah, I understand, it's far-fetched. It seems impossible or implausible, should I say, and uncomprehendable to some people. But if you haven't been in that position where you get afforded that opportunity, you're never going to know. If you go back to my last live and watch the live full, you'll see that a couple of individuals that I've actually talked to, that I've met through here, through YouTube, social media, and talking to him on my lives, he's even left a couple of comments before. He's actually mentioned that his homeboy actually took the opportunity and paid $2,000, $2K, to be brought back. He validated everything that I was saying. Now, I don't know if the practice is still in effect as of today, because things have changed. A lot of Northerners that came at me and said, hey, man, those are the old ways. A lot of things changed. Like, there's no such thing as Northern structure, Norteños no more. Everybody's called Norteños. The division between Norteños and Northerners, the differences of identity have changed. Everybody's all Norteños now, and then you have the NF. So that's a good thing. Maybe they abolish a lot of individuals from seeking status, having status, and abusing these positions of authority. That might be one of the best possible decisions that ever been made. So we can start eliminating the abuse of leadership, the abuse of arrogance, the abuse of misused authority within the penal system, as it's spoken about in the format. Things might always be changing for the better. Advancement always demands change. But I could talk about a couple. I could talk about a couple of scenarios where it did take place. In Susanville, there was an individual named Trigger. He was from West Side Mob. Now, from my understanding, in San Jose, West Side Mob didn't get along with Vadio Horseshoe, and there was another gang on the west side that they actually had body of warfare, like severe body of warfare. They were actually killing each other on the streets. Well, this individual was in prison for red-on-red crime, and oftentimes that's a crime committed that results in serious repercussions. But they said because he did it as a juvenile, and then when he became an adult, he had to get transferred to prison to continue his case. The homies in the back and the individuals of the COC that were running that yard at that time felt that he was young-minded, he didn't know no better, he was unfamiliar with prison politics, street politics, that he was just a kid gangbanging. They gave him that leeway and that opportunity to continue to function as a Northerner. Only problem is he was an arrogant little kid. He didn't give a damn about politics. He didn't give a damn about household procedures. He didn't give a damn about rules, bonds. He just wanted to be from West Side Mob. He had his own mentality. He had his renegade mentality. He did not have the idea nor the willingness to comply. Compliance and obedience was not even in this individual's vocabulary, yet let alone mind state. So every time he got a correction or infraction from the yard or from the household policy, he would laugh at it, write it off, not take it serious, continue to make the same infractions over and over again. Those 1,000-word essays he had to write and them 2,000 jumping jacks he had to do every day on the yard were not fazing this individual. But where he made the ultimate mistake is when he was making fun of another homie who was actually a norteño with status from San Jose. Because the individual had some messed up tattoos on his jaw and on his face, where his celly fixed it, colored it in, made it darker, and the homie said he looked like an idiot. In front of everybody, to the man in his face. Do you know how fast that individual brought it up to the COC and the management in itself, to Shady from Goshen? Sykes was his brother that was the NF at the time, the Carnal that was overseeing Susanville. You know, Sykes didn't really care because he let his brother do whatever he wanted. His brother had free reign. Even though in the 90s we abolished physical discipline, they sent a hitter and 2 bombers, because on the level 3, you have a hitter and 2 bombers, which is a hitter is going to go either slice you or stab you twice, 3 times, and walk away and discard the weapon and not even get caught, while the 2 bombers engage upon you and end up catching the case anyways with a deadly weapon. Even if they don't find the weapon, these 2 individuals are going to take the fall for this. And that's what they did. They slit his face right here. They cut it open and they jumped him. He wound up going to the back. So while he's in the back, obviously he's pleading his case back out to the yard. Shady brings it up to his brother. And Sykes pretty much says, if he comes back out and he actually makes it that far to come back out, we'll see what's up. Until then, we're going to go ahead and fine him a couple $100 a month until further notice. There was another individual from Sacramento. I think he was from 14 Ave. His name was Face. I think it was short for No Face, because he had bullet holes all through his face and he had bullet holes through his head because he got shot by some Frank Lone boys in the streets of Sacramento. So he was in there for pulling up on another individual from Frank Lone and killing them, shooting them with a MAC-10. Imagine that. His situation was different. They knew he had money, they knew he had access to drugs, and he was smuggling in drugs. So that 1/3 policy became a little bit more. That money that he was making became a little bit more when it comes to paying taxes. So instead of him getting removed, he pretty much had to continue to pay these particular fines and fund the household and the carnales in the household bank a little bit more than anybody else was, if he wanted to stay. See, I've personally seen these situations happen. But you also got to remember, while that individual on live said his homeboy did it, that was another validation that what I'm saying is true. But you also got to understand that if you look at the BNL list, we have over 4,000 members, ex-norteños, that were either dropping out, been labeled snitching, got hit for wrong removals, got hit for justifiable removals, removed regardless. So you got to look at that perspective and stop looking at the fact that a lot of individuals are dropping out. They need to stay active. They need to do what they got to do. Because that's 4,000 individuals of our own people that we've got rid of or we pushed away. That's 4,000 individuals that the active side has to worry about and identify and get rid of, who view as a security threat, as a safety concern, that they have to deal with when the norteño struggle and being on the active side with this end of hostilities and all these new policies taking into effect. There's more to focus on as opposed to a lot of these individuals that why didn't they fight for their careers? For anybody that's been in my position, and for individuals on my YouTube that are already in my position or who I left the gang life and realized that everything that I'm saying is what they went through and what they've envisioned and what they've seen, that's the validation that you might need to tell you that it's corrupt. It has its good. The struggle is beautiful. The agenda is beautiful. The ultimate goal is beautiful. But the individuals that are running it oftentimes only think about themselves and their positions of power. Do you honestly think an individual should have to pay for his life? Do you honestly think that a man should put his family in a financial endeavor, into a financial instability, a debt, just to save himself? Don't you think that would be a selfish act? Granted, some individuals might be able to afford that. But I wouldn't condone anybody to put their family through that much more hardship and put yourself in that much more hardship and punishment. That's to pay monthly until they say it's okay, or until you reach the deadline and the mark of $2,000 to $3,000, $1,500. Because all this kind of stuff takes place behind the scenes. This is not a filter you're going to see every day or once a week or once a month recirculated saying, hey, by the way, if you ever get into a wreck, if you ever get deemed no good or fall from grace or placed on the B&L, you have the opportunity later on the road to plead your case. The Carnales in the back has so much going on. Do you think they want to take the time and spend the time to say, you know what, I'm going to focus on this individual's case. I'm going to review his due process. I'm going to file his appeal. And I might even give the blessings as long as he gives me $2,000. Some might be greedy. Some might look at it like, man, we don't need this individual. We have more people on the streets willing to come to the prison system and take his place. Because that's the viewpoint that they see. Nortenos are nothing but foot soldiers to the Carnales. The Carnales look at it like, man, there's a bunch of individuals on the streets that are Norteños that are eventually going to come to the penal system that are going to work for us. So why do I got to worry about this one particular individual when 10 more are going to come off that bus anyways? And further this movement and further this struggle and fund my books. Fill my pockets up. So if you can allow yourself to be devalued for the value of a price to pay to be back active, and only to put that money in somebody else's pockets when that money could have been in your pockets or your family's pockets, then by all means, I wish you the best. And I hope that things work out for you and those individuals who choose to take that route and pay to be brought back in. But you can't honestly say that you would want or expect somebody to actually pay that kind of debt. Because think about it, if you come back active, you still got to pay. It's like a double jeopardy standard. You're going to actually have to pay to come back. And then you're also going to have to clean up with a weapon. So imagine if you were an individual who only had 3 to 5 years on his term, messed up a lot to the point the homies had to use you as an example that there will be zero tolerance against infractions, insubordinations, disacknowledging the authority in charge, or whatever the case with me, a bond, a violation. Only for you to come back and say, here's a weapon. And once you stab this dude in the face multiple times, the DA is going to be right there at your front door saying, hey, you're looking at 5 to 7 years in addition to the 5 years that you got to complete. So are you willing to continue to throw your life away just to look good to other people? To be in good standings with other people? Just to go back and be told what to do, when to do it, and how to do it? To be subordinate? To be obedient? That's the message that I'm trying to say. And that's the message that I'm telling the kids. Because a lot of these kids are going to come in the penal system young-minded, ignorant, disobedient, not willing to acknowledge the authority in charge. Because these old practices worked back in the day. Now, it's a lot harder. A lot of kids, they're running amok out here. They're going to do what they want. And you could say maybe 60, 70% are going to come into the penal system and fall in line. But there's always that small percentage of individuals who are going to disacknowledge following rules. Disacknowledge looking up to somebody else or being told what to do by somebody else. And then they're going to be discarded. And up on the SNY side, it's like we don't force these individuals to throw their whole life away because we felt it was necessary to get rid of them and they chose not to pay to come back. That's hypocritical. Because we're supposed to be valuing each other as a brotherhood, as Northern Chicanos. We're already outnumbered and we're already facing a lot more hardships and punishments of what the odds stacked against us and what we're going against. Whether it's these big factions like Sureños or going to war with blacks, going to war with whites. We already have enough on our plate with the states and feds always arguing, not knowing what to do. And we're stuck in the middle as collateral damage. Do you think that's fair? Do you think that's fair that the squad procedures and the squad leaders review everybody's case and they go after the individuals who have 5 to 7 to 10 years and say, hey, you're gonna use a weapon? But the individuals that got 3, 2 years, maybe 16 months, they're gonna be utilized as bombers? But while the individuals that have more time are the ones that use the weapons, get away with it, and the individuals that got 1 to 2 years that are about to parole are being asked to join in this removal and wind up picking up a case, and they didn't even use a weapon. Do you think it's okay to subject our people to that kind of misfortune? Unbeatable circumstances where they're only going to dig themselves a bigger hole and they're going to end up in prison a lot longer when they had 15 months, 2 years, maybe a year, 6 months to the pad. There's plenty of individuals on YouTube, if you read my comments through all my last previous videos, and some that are going to speak up in this video and say that I've always seen it. I've seen that happen. Individuals could be on the verge of going home, getting their life together, ready to parole, and will be utilized for removal. At least that's how it happened in my era. Things might have changed. I talked to a lot of Northerners that came from, recently dropping out, and they told me now things are a little bit different. But that's the only message that I'm trying to tell you is that sometimes the system doesn't always work in the best interest for the people. You know, it has its ups and downs, and sometimes situations will backfire and put you in a predicament where you have to choose. Do you value yourself? Or do you prioritize how other people look at you? So while you're doing all these sacrifices and shedding all this blood, who's it for? What is it doing for you? It's just allowing you to remain on a yard longer? Allowing you to stay away from your family a lot longer? While these individuals take the credit for it? Because the ones that are going to take the credit for it is the authority in charge. Yeah, I made that happen. I made that decision. And the ANF's going to look at these individuals like, man, this individual's a good leader. Just bring them in. Where do you stand? Holding these low-level COC positions or going back to being a squad member, doing 500 burpees and then doing your squad burpees and carrying a piece and being ready for the next removal? How many removals does it take, and how many cases do you have to catch in order for you to understand that sometimes you're just being utilized for all the wrong reasons? That sometimes you can't make the decisions for yourself. And that's all I'm trying to say, because I'd rather just be in the position that I'm in and fight for myself and make a stance for myself and value myself as a person, as a human being, as my independence, as opposed to every day giving this man $200, $300, and still getting this weapon put in my hand, say, go catch 5 more years. Go catch your second strike. Hopefully not your third. Hopefully they don't double the time like they were doing back then. When you caught your second strike, everything was double. So you're looking at a 5 to 7 year case. It's their second strike, and they're doubling it. Now you're looking at 14 years for removal because you couldn't follow rules. That's all I'm asking, is for you to think about it. But in your case, if you choose to pay and wonder why individuals haven't paid, by all means. I'm just trying to teach the youth, like, these are the predicaments that you're going to be put in. Now it's up to you to make the decision beforehand before you get placed in these predicaments. What would you do? Or what do you want to do different? That way you don't end up in these kind of predicaments. Because a lot of individuals on here who got sons, who got daughters, and even if they're part of this lifestyle now, who are still active or in positions like me, being on the SNY, being part of something else, you know, we all got kids. And I bet you if you ask any one of these individuals, hey, man, do you want to see your kids in this predicament? Would you let your kid gangbang? I bet you everybody on my YouTube is going to tell you, hell no, I don't want my kid going down this road. I want something better for my kid. So through my prison stories and with the possibility of me leaving a positive message for the youth, that's all I'm trying to tell them. I'm trying to expose them to everything that's going to go on. And let's just hope that they don't make the same decisions that me and you made and throw half our lives away only to come out and say, you know what? Life out here in society, being free, being able to do things different, being able to do what you want is a lot better and is a lot more beneficial to us in our lives. You know, we got to stop prioritizing what another individual above us looks down at us for. Or how we need to impress certain individuals who we've never met a day in our lives, who we don't even know what they've done on the streets, who we don't even know if they are in bad standings and are going to end up in bad standings in the long run. Stop impressing individuals that hold these high-level positions, or these individuals in the back who got life, who got nothing else to look forward to other than the governance of the people and what they can do with the people, how they can utilize the people, and start thinking for yourself. And that's all I'm trying to tell the kids. You don't have to go down this path. You can be somebody. You can be your own man. You could do something great for yourself. And instead of paying taxes, instead of picking up a weapon when somebody tells you to do it, why can't... That's the only message that I'm trying to tell these individuals. And I'm sorry that, you know, you've in your situation in your life, you've never heard of these situations happening, but they have happened. And some of my subscribers oftentimes validate everything I'm saying when they start sharing their stories, when they start sharing their life, when they start sharing their viewpoints. And that's why I ask everybody to communicate with one another and read the comments. You'll see a lot of individuals who I've never met, never talked to a day in my life, validate a lot of the stuff that I'm saying. So with that being, I hope I was able to clarify some things up. If I haven't, you know, my apologies. But with that being said, man, it's one life, one chance, man. We only got one chance to do this right. Let's get it done. Peace.